Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, guys, I know most of what we talk about is, it seems very difficult and kind of far-fetched. It is by any stretch of imagination. It's difficult for anyone to kind of digest. And so, I mean, I do refer to these sort of dark forces that are working. And when I say that, I mean, there's shayateen in jinn as well as ins, and the Quran is very clear about that. Okay, and these shayateen in insan basically are the minions of shaitan lanatullah. Like, they work within our realm, our hakikat, the alame wujud, as it were, alame dunya, within insan, and they move in notable positions, whether that be political, military, influential positions, even celebrities for that matter. And I want to give you an example. I guess you've come across maybe some examples that are similar, but this one is pretty, the evidence is very compelling. We need to understand the sort of forces that are at work against the Muslim Ummah. We literally we basically try to mimic the lifestyles of these individuals. We look up to them, we listen to their music. Allah SWT forgive them, forgive us, sorry, that we even jibe to these, to the nonsense that they're regurgitating, spewing. The music it basically removes iman from your heart. Subhanallah. The flute was one of the things that Shaitan learned, as I understand it, and I may be wrong, was the instrument that he used in order to beguile the Ummah during the time of Saif alayhi salam. So I mean, again, it's they used to live in mountainous regions, and the lower flat land is where the forces allied to the darker side, the evil side, were basically with their people. They used to stay there, and the flute was used. So I mean, the instrument, it has a huge influence. There's a very, very big. This is why it's promoted by Dajjal. In fact, Dajjal is going to come with music, and all sorts of music that's going to influence mankind. Understand that sound has a huge impact on the human body. Subhanallah. In fact, sound has an impact on everything. The waves, and understand that when you apply sound even to water, there was a Japanese scientist not so long ago. He basically did a test, and he used certain words which resonated with dark energy, like maybe a swearing and cussing in the direction of the water. And then there was other water where he expressed love towards it, and kindness, and used words of love, tolerance and peace. And then that water was then basically, droplets of that were put into petri dishes and then into the freezer, and those crystals formed. And what happened is, when you saw the water of the crystals that formed from the impact of the sound, which was negative in nature and dark and evil, you saw that there was a chaotic form to the crystal. Whereas the water that had, a sound that was very, came from a well-intended place, that water formed beautifully. And then the very same scientists did a test with the water of Zamzam, and the crystals that formed were absolutely stunning, subhanallah. Through the water of Zamzam, and the words subhanallah that were used with it. So I mean, and don't forget, we're made out of 70%, I understand, of the human chemical makeup is water. So understand what sound and how it impacts us, how the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala impacts insan, and resonates within himself and his heart and his mind, subhanallah. The effect it has on us. The ulama, our huffaz, subhanallah, they will tell you how this has an effect. Anyway, so I mean, these people in the music industry, these celebrities who we take our narrative from, who basically almost, you'll find that your body, and this is a lot of people will basically testify to the same, that you almost feel compelled towards jiving to the sounds, right? Because I mean, don't forget, like we said, it's not just your ears that are at play here. Your body is made of water, and that water is being impacted by different frequencies and different sound, right? Sound has a huge role to play in the nizam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And music has been forbidden to us. We've been asked to put our fingers in our ears when we listen to it. I know this over here that you'll see some stuff which won't be to the tabiat, as it were, of every individual, but I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned from this, that who's basically at the helm of the echelons of society, and who are basically leading the way and misguiding the ummah, and how we take everything from them. We need to get rid of this the music from our lives. First and foremost, is haram, subhanallah. And then looking up to these individuals for our style, for our fashion, for what's in, what's not, for attitudes. Allahu Akbar Kabira. We've got the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the way of Sunnah, the Sahabiya, and the Sahabiyat, and the Sahaba, and look to them for direction. They were the guiding stars, not these lowly. um, they've signed their souls over to Shaitan Lanatullah, and it's very clear. You'll see it, what's within themselves, what entities are working inside these bodies. It's very ajib. I'll just let me play it for you and see for yourselves and see what you make of it. You'll see the eyes literally shape shift into a different form, and subhanallah, they're almost like snake eyes, right? Did you see that? Now, before I show you more examples of other stuff, let's just take a look at the eyes of a snake, right? Let's do that, just so that we can see this whilst we're doing this together. Snake eyes. Images. Oh, there you go. They're there. Can you see it? I want you to remember this image, right? You see that? You see that? Right? Eyes of a snake, right? Okay, now let's take a look. And remember, even when Shaitan Lanatullah went into and whispered in the ears of Maha and influenced, Adam alayhi salam, to eat from the forbidden, we understand from our literature, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, I think it was a lizard kind of form, which basically also had flight. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. This is me taking it from, I think, if memory serves me well, and don't quote me on this, certainly we need to basically study our deen properly. Subhanallah, it's just amazing how things are documented and stuff. But I think it was a book from Ibn Kathir, or someone who quoted something similar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. We don't really basically get too stuck in the details. We take our deen from our ulama. But again, if you see these eyes, you can see what snake eyes are like, right? And then the Prophet ﷺ has also mentioned to us that, look, there was a qawm of Bani Israel, I understand, which was basically changed into lizards. I think the Prophet ﷺ was once offered up a lizard by one of the Sahabas. The Prophet ﷺ, from my very little understanding, had basically turned down the offer. He didn't say it's haram to eat, but he said that there was a certain people, a certain qawm, which were basically rebelled against the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala changed them into lizards, okay, lizard people. And then for those people who are of my kind of age and generation, they'll remember that back in the days there used to be a movie which was called V, and it was about lizard people who were basically covered in human skin, right? And inside they were basically, when you tear the skin off, it was a lizard, a humanoid shaped lizard, which basically fed off human beings. And we understand that they do all sorts of sacrificial stuff, especially to infants and stuff, in order to empower them themselves, and drink that blood. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. These are the sort of things they do, and it's very dark, very dark. You don't. I'm not encouraging you look into these sort of things. I certainly don't. If anything, these are just lessons for us to basically steer away from such, personalities and such. Celebrities, and we basically look up to this, and this is a very dark force, and it's entered and penetrated our lives. We mimic these guys, and subhanallah, and this should really concern us. I'll let you watch this anyway. Let's continue it. It doesn't stop at this celebrity, it just moves on one celebrity after the other, but this is very compelling stuff. Again, I mean, because of the industry I'm in, I understand very well what CGI and what isn't. And let me tell you something, from a trained eye, I'm telling you this isn't CGI. Okay, we're in the industry of as a creative industry, and I understand videography, I understand effects, and I know effects when I see it. And what you see right now being shown to you, at the risk of being um, pulled up on it, I've made sure that what you see right now is actually content that I'm 99% sure of being actual real content, and not special effects of any sort. But then you can look up these interviews and meetings and research it yourself and find the official, just like I showed you in the Arc de Triomphe in London and its unveiling, how you saw something, a dark shadow enter, and you can look at the official unveiling of the same video, and it's there, the same anomalies there. And in the same way, you can do exactly the same with the footage that you're seeing right now. But you see the dark forces that are working within these people, and we're looking up to this stuff. You know, we're looking up to these individuals. We're copying them. We're copying their attitude. We're copying their dress sense. We're copying whatever principles and morals and ethics, lack thereof, they're promoting. We're basically identifying ourselves by these individuals as though they're an extension to our own character. Subhanallah, the only extension to our character should be the Sahaba, Ajma'in, radiallahu anhum. And the Prophet ﷺ left an ideal, way of living, subhanAllah, being. Look at these individuals. You see what's within them, what's inside them. Even I know who this celebrity is. She's Britney Spears, right? And in a second, you'll basically see something that will basically, literally, you'll fall off your chair, right? Subhanallah, you saw that? I saw it, but I'm sure he's going to slow it down in a second. And I'm glad, actually, to be honest with you, that we look at these individuals, we actually find them attractive. And then when you see this sort of dark force that basically dwells within them, right? That totally puts a different perspective on it, doesn't it? All of a sudden, that beauty has basically just been stripped off them, taken away from them. If you've got any level of, moral fabric within you, you'll detest what you see. You'll be disgusted by it. It'll make your, stomach churn. And these individuals are people that we actually find attractive, right? And we basically look up to them. I mean, even this Angelina Jolie, everyone knows who she is, and she basically goes around representing as an ambassador with the United Nations. She goes to Syria. Understand that they're basically part of the same system, the same structure. We're being fooled. The Ummah is being lulled. We're being taken into a certain direction. They're part of the same clique of Shaitani elite, right? Who are coercing the Ummah in anticipation for the arrival of Dajjal Antulali. Did you see what happened to her eyes? It's honestly, we should be concerned. We really genuinely should be concerned. The Ummah needs to see what this very false, pretentious um, lifestyle that's being portrayed by these individuals is intended for. Is to take us away, I mean, even I know who she is. She's a celebrity called Rihanna, right? And people actually literally go uh, crazy for these dark forces, you know. And we really should be concerned. Allahu Akbar Kabira, Ya Rabb. Astaghfirullah Rabbi min kulli zambin wa atubu ilayh. So when we talk about CERN, them opening different dimensions, when we talk about these entities entering the Arc de Triomphe, when we talk about this star and the system that is bringing with it, the binary system, when we talk about them cloaking these stars, cloaking the sun, using technology, it seems far-fetched, but now if you put it into perspective with what we're seeing right now and witnessing ourselves together, it's not too far-fetched all of a sudden, because, subhanAllah, if they can do this right in front of our very eyes in plain sight and get away with it, right, unless a discerning eye picks it up, right, and there are very few who are discerning enough who basically can see these things, and they've been endowed. Most of us are basically lulled into this false reality, and being basically led down the wrong path, a very dark one, by these forces, and these are the people, when they say that if you're in the industry, you have to have signed your soul over. Well, this is what you're witnessing right now. Take a look at it. These are the dark forces at work, and we basically literally, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us and forgive us. How can we find this attractive? Honestly, how can we, when you know the sort of forces, dark forces that reside in themselves, and they've handed themselves over to, for this fame, for this life. Their life doesn't even belong to them anymore. If these are real people who have actually allowed, Napak jinn to take them over, take their bodies over, take their control of their lives, then they've done it at a very, 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 very significant cost, a very big cost. They've basically signed an eternity over into hellfire, and every one of these individuals are a psyop. They're basically targeted at a certain demographic. This demographic, Beyonce was basically almost my age and after me. Then you've got other celebrities who are very new, and they're targeted at a different demographic. And all of this is purposeful. They do it deliberately, by design, for a reason, right? They're designed to basically coerce. I mean, what they'll do is they'll create this very innocent kind of persona around them. And that innocent persona then, as you age, grows up and becomes darker, right? That innocent persona becomes darker as they basically age, and this is the direction they want you to idolize them. And as you idolize them, first it's all cute and nice, and then it gets darker and more rebellious. And this is basically how they're psychologically coercing each demographic, right, in a certain direction, away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, away from the into basically the direction Shaitan Lanatullah wants to take us all in. Okay? So it should really concern us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first and foremost grant me the ability to see these forces for what they are, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all the ability to see what's happening and how we've been misguided, how we've been directed by these dark forces. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant me and grant all of us the tawfiq to realign ourselves with the sunnah way of our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, life that's been taught to us. I'm really sorry for sharing content of غير mahram, but again, these sort of things are then basically not seen, and it's I don't know whether it is, again, it's my ignorance, so forgive me for it. But I just felt compelled to share this particular content just so that we can understand the sort of dark forces that are at work, and how we're being led by these very same dark forces in our lives, and what's at stake for us and our children. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all. Jazakallahu khairan wa assalam. Jazakallahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa